Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to the Best People We Know radio show. This is where you'll meet experts and celebrities who share their success secrets with you to help you be your most successful best too. Your host, Deb Scott, is a certified professional coach at Discover the Amazing You Coaching and author of the award-winning motivational book, The Sky is Green and the Grass is Blue, turning your upside-down world right side up. The Best People We Know radio show brings you powerful resources, effective ideas, and transformational tools you can use to educate, inspire, and motivate you to be your most purposeful, peaceful, happy best. So get ready to experience mind vitamins to feed your whole soul. Good change is about to happen. The Best People We Know radio show. Here's your host, Deb Scott.
Good morning to all the best people I know. Yes, that would be us. We love us. It's such a good thing. And you know what? One of the things that awesome people have, successful people, best people with integrity, character, enthusiasm, that love their job and love their life, they have charisma. And today's guest, you may know her as an actress from the big screen, Leesa Rowlan. She's an actress, but she's also been walking her talk to be happy and beautiful on the inside and not just the outside. And like everybody that I seem to find on the show, they've answered questions that people have asked them. And Leesa had a lot of people say, why don't you just write a book about that? Why don't you do that? You're so good at that. You should be a coach. Do this, do that. Well, she finally just put it in a book. And that's what we're going to talk about, discovering the it factor within you. We're going to talk about the connection between successful people and charisma, how to get it, why you need it, what it is. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can find more about Leesa at discoveringtheitfactorwithinyou.com. You could also Google her Leesa, Leesa Rowland, Rowland. If you have questions or comments or concerns or just want to be part of the show, call in 347-637-1318, then hit pound 1, and that'll put you right through to the switchboard. You can get a listing of all of our great guests and follow us on the Best People We Know show. If you have a Blog Talk Radio homepage, you just follow us in the blue box on the left, or you go to my website, debscott.com. That's pretty easy, debscott.com. And you can sign up for the monthly Mind Vitamin News on the banner in the top or the side. And I'd love to see you on Twitter. I love Twitter. It's my favorite social media tool. And I'm at Green Sky Deb on Twitter, and I'm opening up the chat room. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about Leesa. I know a lot of you already know who she is, but I just want to make sure for those who don't that you have an insight into how she's going to help us today and why she's credible to talk about what we're going to talk about today. She is an actress, and she is an animal advocate. You might have seen her a lot on TV for that. And she went from a family ranch in Texas to the bright lights in Hollywood in New York City. She did earn her broadcast journalism degree at Texas Tech, and then she went on to Los Angeles to study acting at the Stella Adler Studios. And she's had a very successful career in acting, and she's had a lot of cult following for a lot of her horror movies and such, but she's very popular and very well respected. She is a people person. She enjoys clarifying prime assets and attributes for each and every individual that she meets. And as a result of discovering her own wisdom and helping so many people that she knows, finding that inner star power, she wrote this book, Discovering the It Factor Within You. And this book helps us, I guess, find a compelling journey, begs the question to get the answers, to really think about who you are, why you're here, and how you can be the best person that you were created to be. In addition to her professional work, Leesa is very proud to have the Animal Ashram. That's a nonprofit in New York City. She's very active in the circuits, and she's a big advocate for children, people that have suffered domestic violence, animal causes, so much more. Discover the It Factor Within You. It is a pleasure to have you sharing your shine with us today, Leesa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Deb. I'm happy to be here.
Well, listen, we know that, you're beautiful on the outside, but you are beautiful on the inside, and this book is changing lives. Let people know, what is this charisma, and how did this book come to be? And why do the listeners want to get it if they want to be successful and get it genuinely? Because I think that's part of your message is that you want authenticity. And specifically what? I mean, was there something in your life that, that you would like to share with people that was a trigger? I mean, sometimes people hit rock bottom. Sometimes, people have this aha moment. I know for myself.
I had a really bad relationship, and I'd come out of it. And I began working on myself, and I think journaling is really, really important. I think it's very important to journal when you're going through a lot of things, because a lot of things you can't really talk about, but you can write about them.
Yeah. And is that part of the self-discovery process? It sounds to me as though the book, it was therapeutic for you because it was almost like the book was a whole journal for you.
Very much, very much. And then my mother died about 10 years ago, and I didn't have closure on that, so that was another thing. So as things came at me, my book just morphed more and more.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, and I've been privileged to listen to a lot of people's stories from the radio show and some other things, and, it's amazing to me how, you can be beautiful, you can be famous, you can be rich, you can be on the cover of People magazine. You know what? None of that really matters on the inside. And we all have suffering and pain. The death of your mom, I know I lost my mom 10 years ago, and she was my best friend. Whether it be relationships or deaths or things like that, they really do prove that the good things can come out of the bad things. What were some of those things that you learned about yourself?
Well, I learned that, you can really only trust yourself. You have to always be able to motivate yourself and, to have discipline and to want to get through everything.
And how does charisma, relate to this whole spiritual connection? Because, it seems as though if, trying to have other people fill those voids, you have to love yourself. You have to have that spiritual connection within yourself before you can bring that into another relationship. Talk about that.
Well, you do have to get to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you'll have no motivation. You'll have no passion. You have to, so many of us just keep masking over who we are. But, it's all about having self-discipline and drive and charisma. Charisma can bring you to a whole nother level.
And how would you define that? What would be your definition of charisma?
Well, most people that have charisma, you have secular charisma and you have non-secular charisma. Mother Teresa had both kinds of charisma.
We love her.
Right? She did. She had both kinds of charisma. The Pope has both kinds of charisma. Princess Di was verging on that. And but then you have instant charisma that you can just create. You have charisma that's developed through good karma.
Yep. And, I think that I'm a big believer that, I guess whether you call it karmic, what goes around comes around, whatever you, however you want to label it. And it's not always, that it happens today or tomorrow, but in the long run, we do get back what we give. The tie, I'm looking at some of the chapters in the book for the listeners to understand. Discovering the it factor. What is charisma? What makes personalities charismatic? You talk about the charismatic personalities and the qualities of charisma. What does it take to be charismatic? And then, in Chapter 7, to just segue what you had just mentioned, can you create charisma? Are you born with it? Can charisma be enhanced? Can charisma be learned? And you have tools and techniques for developing that. and talk about that relationship to spirituality and loving self and loving others. What are some of the ways? Give us some more examples of people that are born with it, people that learned it, and maybe give some personal examples if you'd like to.
Well, I mean, you can look at people like Oprah Winfrey, and she had charisma. She was born with charisma, but she's developed it more and more and more. It's just something that comes with your passion. When you know what you do well and you're passionate about it, then you just tend to shine more than everybody else does. So believing in yourself is super, super important.
Mhm. Believing in yourself, having that enlightenment to know who you are. It's like you can't, I feel as though I'm listening to you that I'm visualizing, not that I'm a big puzzle person, but, I may own the box with all the pieces of the puzzle, but until I open the box, get it on the floor, and take the time to look at each design, each figure, each color, only then can I match those pieces together and make the beautiful canvas that was originally intended to be developed. It seems to me that charisma is that key that, yes, we all have those pieces, but, you have to take that time to do the journaling, to have that enlightenment, to connect spiritually, and to know what you have. You got to know those pieces in order to be able to get help, to get or build or improve or grow. What are some of the ways that you help people or talk about people that have charisma, if they've identified it, have that talent? How do they get it to the next level? How do they fine tune that like any other talent or skill?
What's really important is to stay in the moment. It's easy to get overwhelmed with things, but you find all your fun really in just living in the moment and being passionate about what you're doing at the present moment.
Mhm. Right. And does that how does that relate to, I know you talk about charisma and leadership. Do you I mean, the research does seem to show that people that are leaders clearly, have that charisma, but you're not saying that you're developing it. You're not saying, okay, you're going to be a fraud. You're just saying, look, this is who you are, and now you can prove
and be that
on
to
what
the
you
maximum.
already have.
Right. Be yourself to the maximum.
Right. Because I think that's an important point. If somebody, here we are in this political season, right? It seems like it's going to go on forever. But, you look at one person and their personality, they can say one thing. And if another person tried to do that, they would look like a flop. But if that person tried to do what the other person did well, they'd be a flop. So I think that there's that intuitive, spiritual, like that third eye or something where you can just tell when somebody's being honest or when somebody's faking it. And really successful people have to be true to who they are. And I think that that's what you talk about. And I find it fascinating that you make that connection with the animals because, we were talking before the show started how I love my too many schnauzers and they're like the best people I know, but we learn a lot from our pets about charisma, and one of the things you mentioned earlier, that staying in the moment. Speak to the listeners about that. What are some of the things that we can learn from our animals about genuine charisma?
Absolutely. Animals are born with charisma, and a lot of them ooze it. They're so caught up in the moment, and they are aware of all of their senses. We don't always take the time to know what our surroundings smell like, what our surroundings sound like. We're just looking at what it looks like. But, yeah, it's like that intuition that you're talking about, that third eye.
I think we just
animals
lost you. Just cut out a little
that.
bit on you. We just lost the connection, Leesa. I'm going to ask you to repeat that. For some reason, I don't know if you're on a cell phone in New York City, but we just seem to lose that last bit that you shared. So can you just repeat that one more time? Sorry about that.
No, it's important to know about your surroundings and know where you're at. Animals do it instinctively, like you were saying with the third eye, that it's, intuitional. And, pets are aware of all their surroundings, and they're really in the moment, and that's where all the fun is, in the moment.
Yeah, and I really, one of the things that you say that you want to experience everything that happens and treat everything, every moment as amazing. And I think that's one of the things that's difficult when we're in pain. I know it is for me. It's difficult when you're in the midst of having a painful emotion to say, okay, thank you, God, for this, because I know you're making me better, or you're helping me learn something about myself, or you're helping me appreciate some of the other blessings in my life, or you're leading me in a different direction. God's rejection is God's protection. And to see it that way, but you do believe that. You do believe that, you do your best, but you also have to understand that the human condition is going to inevitably have a wide range of emotions that we enjoy and maybe not so enjoy in that moment. But that if we run away from it, we're going to miss what we can learn from it. And that eventually will be our growth.
Right. You don't want to run away from something and then worry about it and have it in the back of your mind.
Right. So how do you deal with... Right, and one of the things that you have to deal with in Hollywood and movies, it's kind of ironic that, in movies you're acting somebody else, but you're talking to us, about being authentic. However, I'm sure that there's some things that you've learned about yourself because you have to be emotional, don't you? When you're in a movie, you have to feel that character and bring that emotion to it, and that must affect you in some way. How do you deal with that, or are you more motivated to be into your authentic self so you can play those parts more realistically?
Well, it works hand in hand, really. But you definitely have to be emotional to be a really good actor, and you have to be able to draw upon emotions that you've had. In method acting, they tell you not to go to emotions newer than 2 years, really. So emotions are very intense. They create the way that you react in a certain moment with other people.
Yeah, and passion. I mean, if you can't be enthusiastic about something, then somebody else wouldn't be able to either. What are some of the things that, I know you've done a big tour for the book, and you've done a lot of blogs and a lot of radio shows. Is there one particular question that you get asked more often than others that or is there a particular, something that seems to be a theme for most people?
I think that a lot of people put limitations on themselves, and you need to dream more and to keep your dreams big and patient for yourself. Set your priorities high.
So you think people are mostly asking you, how do I set my priorities? How do I
get to another level?
To it?
Yeah, I would say that most people are just curious to how they can take whatever they're doing to the next level.
Right. And how do you, like, when you get up in the morning, how do you start your day? How to give us an example of a typical day with Leesa, how do you live your day?
Well, when I wake up, I like to do breath of fire, sipping breaths, a couple different types of breathing techniques, and I meditate a little bit for like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I move on with my day. But I'm a list person. I write out my list. I journal at night.
The journaling, writing things down, the list, taking that time
to
connect and
right. Mm-hmm.
meditate and all that. And how do you, and as you're going through your day and you're referring to these things and being aware, how do you, when the day comes to an end, and maybe everything isn't already crossed off on that list, what is your self-talk like with the end of your day? How do you reflect and meditate and connect at the end of your day?
Well, worrying is so bad. So my whole thing is to not worry. And I just take whatever I couldn't solve that day, and I put it on I put it in a little box. I strap it up, and I put it on the shelf.
Mhm. And does that compartmentalize it so that it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about it anymore because I have it there.
When you journal, absolutely. And then when you journal, you write it down. So it's like it's written down. You're not going to lose what you thought. That you'll still be able to sleep.
Yeah, because it does. Worry is like, as I've heard before, praying backwards. And when we worry, it's we're not trusting God. We're okay. And for some reason, the human condition, the mind wants to go off onto what's the worst thing that can happen instead of automatically going, well, what's the best thing that could happen?
Right. Yeah.
For me, I think some of the best things that have happened in my life, they're always the tangents that I never planned for. It's like planning that vacation. You get your expectations up and you think it's going to be a certain way, but when you have expectations, they can also become premeditated resentments because you're expecting something to be a certain way. You're expecting a person to act a certain way. You're expecting a different result. Instead of doing what you said at the beginning of our time together here this morning, which is just be in the moment, just really be grateful, to appreciate, and using that analogy of our pets being in the moment, and then everything becomes more than enough, which always, is really the best way to set yourself up for success because you can't lose that way. You're always gaining something. Is that one of the things that you talk about? Because I know you give a lot of different speaking topics, but I'm interested in tapping into this. What are the things that what are some of the things that you've learned that people shouldn't do and people should do to have this charisma?
Well, you need to have a genuine interest in other people. If you don't, you're not going to have any charisma anyhow. Mm-hmm. But you have to have a genuine interest in other people and what they're talking about and what they want. And charisma is just, it's important to just get somebody's personality to sparkle through.
Yeah. When you're having the conversation, if you're having a conversation with someone and you're thinking about being in the moment, listening to what they have to say, instead of having the two conversations in your head, what are they going to say? How could I respond? I mean, that's just crazy. Focusing on, well, who is this person? What are they like? What makes them happy?
Exactly.
I think that we should spend more time doing that. I just have to get your take, and I know we're running out of time, but mm-hmm. We're talking about genuinely connecting to self and others. We're talking about that light within you that's only yours with charisma, and bringing that to the surface. And I'm just amazed at I love social media. I love the radio. I love the iTunes. I love all that stuff. And I love Twitter and Facebook. They're so great things, but part of that balance and the irony is you can get so connected with someone superficially that you miss the connection and you misrepresent it. It's almost like a false connection. It's like spiritual popcorn.
Right.
Talk to people about that.
Well,
or have you noticed that? Because you meet thousands of people and you have, social media following and so forth. Have you noticed anything about that need to make sure that we connect face to face? That
well,
your iPhone's never going to be the person.
Right, and eye contact is so huge. Eye contact is really huge, buddy, and you don't really think about it. And they've already said their name. And do you remember what eye color they had? You should always look into somebody's eyes when you meet them, and long enough to think about what color that eye is.
Well, now there's a test we can all take today, people. Think of the person you just talked to. Do you remember their eye color? I love quizzes. I'm one of those people that loves to take those little quizzes, to discover more about yourself. And that's just so clever, Leesa, just to say, do you know the eye color of this person that you just met or this person that you've been working with? That's kind of humbling, because I think a lot of us might say, you know what? I talked to that person for 20 minutes and I really am not sure I can remember their eye color, which is a good thermometer and litmus test, isn't it, to tell us how present we really are, because we may think we're really present, but we might be missing out on a lot. I love that one tip that you just gave. I think was worth the price of the admission. And it's interesting to me that you say people with charisma will notice that.
They will, because they're in the moment.
Is there give us a couple more things that we can do today like that to just give ourselves a little self-test on charisma?
It's really just test out your senses. Ask yourself, what does this moment smell like? If you're in the subway, think about, you think about what it smells like. Think about where you are. Be fully present in that moment. Connect with people. That's what it's all about, connection and vibration.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that you've connected with us and given us a lot of things to think about in, what it is. If, we all say we want to be successful, but what does that really mean? And that part of charisma being so important in your personal life experience and you sharing with us, those things that you've learned. And you've been getting great feedback from the book. Do you have a favorite comment that somebody gave to you after reading the book? Something they said that maybe surprised you, that just made you so happy that you did finish writing it?
Yeah, no, I've had so many people reach out to me and go back and forth on social media, and just to be able to relate to another person is rewarding to me, and it's happened numerous times. I love it. When you're an author, that's the fun part, is that you get to meet other people and learn from them too.
Awesome. Well, discoveringtheitfactorwithinyou.com, and if you go to Leesa's landing page there, you'll find a lot of different tabs: home, about the author, her books, her blog, contact information, also the links for Animal Ashram, which is, what you're very, very passionate about, and bringing it all together with the acting and the spirituality and the charisma, and, you're enjoying life, and we appreciate you sharing your shine with us. And awesome. Very, very awesome. And I think that this is how, we help each other in making yourself vulnerable to share with us your personal journey it helps us find our own. And so thank you very much. And I'm sure that there'll be another book in the works, and you'll have to come back and talk about that one. But I know that you're very busy. Any other place that anything else upcoming, or you just want people to go to your website?
Yeah, really just go to the website and join on social media, too, if you want to reach out.
Okay, and Facebook and Twitter, you're out there, and lots of exciting things happening. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And our pets, we're all pet people, so we're all saying thank you for that as well. Looking forward to learning more. If you want to find out more about Leesa, get her book, Discovering the It Factor Within You.com. And I think that authenticity is something that, we can all strive for and get better at it. And Leesa has a unique perspective, being an actress and an animal advocate, and I think that you'll really enjoy reading more and discovering more of the things that she's already talked about here today. So thank you again. Everybody,
thank you,
check
Deb.
out. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much, and just keep sharing that shine, and we're all going to light up, and the world will be better. So get out there, connect with Leesa. Thank you so much, everybody. Check the Best People We Know the Best People We Know. Go to Best People We Know on Blog Talk Radio, and you'll be able to getting a listing of our guests when you just follow us there on the blue tab on the left, and you can go to debscott.com for the monthly Mind Vitamin News. Go out and make it a great day. You're rocking awesome. Don't try to be anybody else but you, and you'll make the world a better place by doing that. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Best People We Know radio show with your host, Deb Scott. For more on Deb and her guests, plus her award-winning guidebook to transformation, The Sky is Green and the Grass is Blue, Turning Your Upside-Down World Right Side Up, go to Deb's website, greenskyandbluegrass.com. You can also connect with Deb for coaching or speaking, and sign up for Deb's free Mind Vitamin newsletter while you're there. So now you're one step closer today to your greatness. We look forward to being with you next time on the Best People We Know radio show.